What's going on YouTube? Ferocity here. Hope you guys are doing well. Over the last few weeks, the sentiment revolving around Xdefiant has become increasingly negative as glaring issues remain unsolved and players are leaving en masse, resulting in the game feeling like it's in a very troubled state. Now, I've covered this already, but let's talk further about how to turn this negative situation into a positive one. How Xdefiant can resurrect itself from the dead and become the game that we all hoped it was going to be. How Xdefiant can truly reach its potential. So let's dive into that today. Because I truly believe Xdefiant is just a couple steps away from truly being great. But it means that the developers have to dive into the problems that persist in this game that are overshadowing everything that is great about it. So this is how you save Xdefiant. The first item on the docket is what I think is the most pertinent for them to fix, and probably the most common issue that players with this game have, and that is, of course, the netcode and hit detection issues. Something that has been persistent since the start of this game's first beta, led through the server test sessions into the full launch of the game, and is still here months after the game's launch. It's been the number one problem spread across social media, whether it's on Twitter, Reddit, or here on YouTube. Everyone's talked about it, and it's been detrimental to this game's success. So before anything else gets rectified, the hit detection and netcode need to be resolved. How do you tackle this quickly to save this game from going on life support? That's a question that Xdefiant and its developers have to answer. Unfortunately, the community's left in the dark here. And unfortunately, I'm also not somebody that knows too much about game design, so I can't go in and try to fix the problem. All I'm here to say is, if they fix the netcode issue, that's step one in resurrecting Xdefiant. Step number two, follow through with all of your planned changes for ranked play. I've mentioned it many times before, and I'll reiterate it again. Ranked play needs to be a pillar in which Xdefiant can build off of to be able to sustain its success. So if Xdefiant wants to resolve its problems, look no further than ranked play. Ensure that there are limits to how many factions each team can have, how many certain abilities can be on each team. That way you don't have everybody in the lobby running phantoms with mag barriers, because that type of gameplay gets very stale. Ensure that there are limits put in place. Make sure that ranked points calculate properly and players are not penalized for their teammates backing out of a game. Make sure players are fairly rewarded for every single win, especially when they're going against players that are a little bit higher than their regular skill level. Ensure that those parameters for matchmaking are properly put in place so players aren't playing against diamonds when they're bronze players. And ensure there's specific rewards for each tier so players have something to play for when they're playing ranked play. And speaking of rewards, let's talk about this for a second. There is a sheer lack of challenges and activities to work towards in Xdefiant right now. Outside of daily challenges and faction challenges, all that you have to grind for is the battle pass and camos on your weapons. There isn't a lot here to do match to match, game to game, and that's really disappointing. It seems like a major part of the game is missing. And honestly, this needs to be fixed as soon as possible. Challenges for specific game modes, for wacky things that you can do within a game. I remember one of my favorite challenges that was just funny to complete every single prestige back in MW2 was fall 30 feet to your death. Don't know why it was funny, but it always was, because you found new and unique ways to do that. All it did was reward you XP, but that was fine. XP rewards on top of prestiges keep the game feeling fresh all the time. And that's what this game needs, because it's already starting to feel stale because there's nothing to work towards outside of weapon grinds. If there were game mode challenges that you have to complete, X amount of wins on Team Deathmatch, maybe X amount of kills or MVP finishes on Team Deathmatch to earn this unique weapon skin or faction skin, whatever it might be, something for the player to work towards. Different types of challenges that rotate weekly or monthly for the community to work towards, but also for you to individually work towards. Because there are community challenges right now, but they're not being completed because they're not being properly communicated to the community to complete. There needs to be more things to do within the game. It's as simple as that. And the rewards can be whatever you want them to be. They can be faction skins, weapon skins, those little screens that they have for when you kill somebody. They can even just be XP. If you properly implement a prestige system, which is something you talked about back when you were hyping up this game, marketing this game to the community, where is that? Because XP would work really well in a prestige system, and I'd like to see that be implemented. Now let's move on to seasonal content drops, as I think Xdefiant fumbled the bag with Season 1. First of all, it created more problems than solved them, and it felt like there was a lack of content released. Yes, we got CTF at launch. Yes, we got Clubhouse and the GSK faction. But outside of that, there was nothing new really being instilled in the game. And this is something they need to rectify with Season 2. Not only do you need to introduce a new faction, some new maps, some new game modes, introduce some other things for players to do within the game. One map every single month just doesn't cut it anymore. It doesn't feel like there's enough new content livening up the game. And this coincides with my last point when I talked about challenges. If you had seasonal challenges that you grinded for 3 months on specific maps or modes or using certain factions, that would be far more enjoyable than just rinse and repeat the same game that we had at launch versus today. What has changed other than a couple new maps, one new faction? Nothing else to grind for really outside of the obscene weapon grind that they have in this game. But that's only for a few skins, and that's kind of it. So I think you can see a theme sort of building here. To save this game, we need more things to do. We need more things to play for, to challenge ourselves to achieve, instead of the same mundane experience every single time you hop into a lobby. I understand that it can be fun to hop into 10 different Occupy matches and play the game that way. But other players want to experience the game in a different lens, challenging themselves to complete challenges, challenging themselves to work outside their comfort zone, to try different weapons out, to try different attachments out, try different game modes out, heck, even different factions out, so that they are forced to get the full scope of this game, to differentiate the game. And that's what we can do with daily challenges, weekly challenges, milestone challenges, and everything else. There needs to be more content there. It's as simple as that. Now, this seems like a tall task, right? We have to ensure the netcode gets fixed, ranked play gets fixed, and there's more content being injected in the game more consistently. But it's what Xdefiant's developers need to tackle to resurrect this game, to bring it back off life support and ensure its long-term success. Ensure that it can compete with Call of Duty, which was its whole goal from the get-go. That's what these developers need to do. Now, I haven't talked about cheaters yet in this video, and I want to touch on it right now. The cheating issue across gaming is something that is heinous and disgusting, and I'd love to see Xdefiant be pioneers in properly detecting cheats, but also going after cheat manufacturers. It's something I've talked about with Call of Duty, but I want to see it done here in Xdefiant. They need to get a handle on cheaters. Reporting needs to be taken more seriously, and honestly, everybody needs to do whatever they can to try to wipe these cheaters off of Xdefiant. It is a major hindrance to the game, because the last thing people want to do is play a game that is not living up to their expectations and also have to deal with cheaters. They don't coincide, they don't work well together, and Xdefiant needs to put a cap on this bottle for cheaters so that they don't continue to infest the game. So how do you solve that? The anti-cheat system needs to be consistently improved, and Ubisoft needs to flex some muscles here with cheat manufacturers to make sure they get taken down and to ensure that they don't resurrect themselves so that players actually get banned and players don't have a place to go to buy cheats. It's as simple as that. Honestly, I'd be fine with them utilizing an intrusive service similar to what Valorant uses that detects if there's any abnormal activity on your computer or if you're straight up using a cheating service. All for that, and I think Xdefiant should go down that road. It's worked well for Valorant, it should work here for Xdefiant as well. And the last thing I want to touch on, which I don't think needs to be addressed immediately, but does need to be something they work on for the future, and that's kill cams. It's been talked about since before this game launched, back in beta. It was something that players wanted. Now, what we've found out is it's extremely hard to actually put into the game. For whatever reason, Call of Duty has had it since I believe like 2007 with COD 4. They might have had it in COD 3, but I didn't play that game, so I don't know. Either way, they've had it for so long, it seems crazy that 17 years later, it's hard to implement. But apparently it is. But it's definitely one of those things that would be nice to have for Xdefiant players, just because it seems to be something that's integral to the overall first-person shooter arcade experience. So I'd like to see them added in. Even though it's not necessarily something that I need, I know the community wants it. So I would add that as well. So, those are my thoughts on how to save Xdefiant. How to bring this game back from the brink and allow it to realize the potential that we all saw in it when we first originally played it in the beta, in the server test sessions, or early at launch. As far as this game has fallen since its original launch, I still think it can come back from the brink and be a success. And be a story for us to talk about when it comes to a development team realizing their mistakes, addressing them, and it leading to prosperity for its own game, for its own franchise. We want to see Xdefiant succeed. We want to see it have a year 2, a year 3, a year 4. But it needs serious intervention right now. It needs TLC. And if they put the time and the effort in to properly resurrect this game, to restore it to where it needs to be, I think we're going to have a hell of a game on our hands. I think they need to learn from their early mistakes, brainstorm on why it went wrong, fix the mistakes, correct the path, and bring this game to its full potential. This is a community that wants the game to succeed. I want to see it succeed. So let's help the developers out. That's it for the video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below in that comment section, so let me know what you think regarding Xdefiant. What would you do to save the game? What does the game need to be saved? Or is it just a lost cause at this point? Would love to hear your thoughts down below in that comment section. And as always, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me, please hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.